Well, it's time now for business, and for that I'm joined in the studio by Stephen Carroll. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Hagsy.
Now, we're starting in the US, where chances of a fresh economic stimulus package have become somewhat slimmer.
That's right. After the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, the US Senate has now finished up until after next week's election. That makes it extremely unlikely that any further help for the American economy will be passed before it sits again on November 9th. Now, that's despite House Leader Nancy Pelosi saying earlier on Monday that she was still optimistic that a deal could be done. She's been discussing a plan with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, which would include another round of cash payments to US taxpayers, reinstating extended benefits for workers who'd been laid off, plus more money for schools. But any deal reached between Democrats and the White House still faces stiff opposition from Republicans who control the Senate.
And Stephen, that has been a huge issue for the market.
Yeah, that's adding to fading hopes, really, that those fading hopes coming on top of fears over the increase in coronavirus cases. There was a massive sell-off on Wall Street on Monday. It had its worst day in a month. The Dow Jones finishing down over 2%. On the Asian markets today, less dramatic falls, although still largely trading in the red. The Hong Kong Hang Seng down by around 0.5% a short time ago. Just some small gains in Shanghai.
Now, Stephen, despite the pandemic, the business world, of course, does keep turning, and a Chinese company is set to break records with its stock market launch.
The Ant Group is a financial technology company that's a titan in China. It runs the Alipay system, which is widely used for payments online and in shops. There's more than 730 million monthly active users. For comparison, that's more than double PayPal's business. Ant was spun off from another Chinese technology giant, Alibaba. It's majority owned by its founder, the country's richest man, Jack Ma. The company now on track for the biggest stock market launch ever in a dual listing in Hong Kong and Shanghai. Its initial public offering of shares will fetch more than $34 billion. That dwarfs its former parent company Alibaba's stock market launch and that of the oil company Saudi Aramco last year, which fetched just over $29 billion. It's also set to boost Jack Ma's personal fortune to around $80 billion.
Not to be sniffed at. Turning next, Stephen, to South Korea, and signs the country's economy is picking up.
So economic growth bounced back in the 3 months to the end of September. That's as the country reaped the benefits of its response to the coronavirus crisis. The economy expanded by 1.9% over that period compared to the previous 3 months. Although compared to the same period last year, GDP is still down by over 1%. The recovery driven by increased exports, particularly from South Korea's technology sector.
Now, in Italy, restaurant owners are adjusting to a series of new coronavirus measures there.
Restaurants and bars have to close by 6 p.m. under the new rules. On top of that, cinemas, gyms and swimming pools have been shut down. It's left many business owners facing tough decisions, as Fraser Jackson reports.
It's last orders in the Italian capital as the new curfew looms. The government's order for bars and restaurants to be closed by 6 p.m. has not been well received.
Avoiding dinner is not the problem because the government is not asking me to shut down completely. It's as if we've already shut down though, because our restaurant is in a really touristy place and during the week no one comes for lunch.
The government is hoping to avoid another nationwide lockdown that battered Italy's stagnant economy and allow for a more relaxed Christmas. But for some of those in this cafe, closing the country's restaurants early isn't the answer.
You should take the right measures. Wear protective masks, use plexiglass and other things, but you shouldn't do a partial closure. Close everything or don't close.
Establishments can offer takeout and delivery services until midnight, but the majority of business happens in the evening. Many restaurants in Italy typically don't start serving dinner until around 8 p.m. The new measure is likely to have a crippling effect on Italy's €71 billion restaurant industry, which has only had a few months to help claw back losses from March and April's lockdown. The European Union says that the bloc's restaurant and hotel industries suffered a massive 79.3% drop between February and April. Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte has promised more financial aid for the hospitality sector as soon as November.
Here in France, lawmakers in the lower house of Parliament had voted in favour of the €100 billion economic recovery plan announced by the government last month. includes funding to extend the furlough scheme, plus additional help for the aviation, motor and hospitality industries. But with new curfew measures now affecting the majority of France, the finance minister has warned the economy will shrink again in the last 3 months of the year. The bill now goes to the Senate.
And Stephen, things are now looking up for the bank HSBC as it publishes its latest results.
These are very strange times when we consider a 46% slump in profits as good news. But that is because that fall isn't as large as had been expected, and the Asian-focused bank is still considering paying a dividend to shareholders, something that's helped to boost their share price today. The improvement in its results are because the bank now expects lower losses from loans, although those losses are still expected to be close to $8 billion.
And finally from you, Stephen, one of the world's largest delivery companies is preparing for a bumper festive season.
I know, like it's October, but let's talk about it. Why not? It's 2020. DHL has hired 10,000 extra workers for what it's expecting to be the record demand for deliveries in the run-up to Christmas. The company forecasting a 50% increase in deliveries compared to last year. It's investing €1 billion in boosting its capacity as a result, and that's on top of what's already been a booming year for e-commerce. Because of course, lockdown measures, DHL says it's seen growth of more than a third in e-commerce this year.
It seems Christmas isn't entirely cancelled.
Not yet.
Stephen Carroll, not yet. Stephen Carroll with the Business News. Thank you very much.